Good morning. This is a new day, and it's a Sunday, in case you were confused on that 3-day weekend business. I know. And it's warm, and it's mild, and it's beautiful. Let us come together and make memories. And now, if you will, rise in body or spirit for our first hymn of the day, hymn number 352. Find a stillness.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let the flower help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
Welcome. We bid you welcome, who come with a weary spirit seeking rest, who come with hope in your heart, who are seekers of a new faith, who enter this hall as a homecoming. Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey, we bid you welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Youngstown. My name is Sarah Lown, and this is Dirk Vanderdyme. I always say Kirk, and I get confused on the other. Dirk Vanderdyme, who will be your chalice lighter and worship associate today. I want to extend a special welcome to those of you who are here for the first or second time. We invite you to come and fill out this little yellow slip of paper, which is over there on the welcome table, all right? And leave it right there behind, and that way we can stay in touch with you. We also invite you to join for coffee and refreshments. Don't cheat and eat ahead of time. You got to suffer through the service first, then you can eat after. I'm afraid we do not have the religious education, but we do have child care just down the hall on the left, second or third door on the right. Don't go into the restroom, just go beyond that. And there is, we got child care in place for you. And the theme for Sunday services this month is ministry. And Reverend Joseph is out of town, so you have to suffer through the lay leadership that we offer up here. And today, Dirk, who is more than a lay leader, and I, who is less than a lay leader, will reflect on the very first experience relating to ministry, which is the call. In UU fashion, we will dispense with traditional sermon making and instead center reflections around a series of readings that are loosely based on the theme of the call to ministry. We hope you leave here edified. Once again, welcome to UUYO. I don't have any announcements. Does anybody from the floor have any announcements of what's going on? Meetings, non-meetings, gatherings, fun? No? All right then. No fun. Anti-fun. Jim. Don't forget the work party, which is July 12th. There we are. And then we have a very special occasion on this day. And I'd love it if you would join in here because it is Andy Crab's birthday. Yay! So please join me. Let's sing him a happy birthday real quick.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andy Crab. Happy birthday to you.
That was outstanding. Good job. And now I invite Dirk to come up for the chalice lighting.
The call. I appreciate Sarah's talent. This is kind of a pattern where you invite me to be part of a service and something that is, something that I have a lot of thoughts about, and something that this idea of having a calling. I used to work as a church leader, and specifically because of that, I actually don't use the words call or calling very much these days. To talk about a person's sense of purpose or direction in life. These days, I would use the phrase invitation and response, or maybe just the word invitation. I used to believe very strongly in an external calling in my life and in the lives of others. God's will, God's plan, and all that stuff. I saw ways that this helped people do really amazing things. I also saw how common it was to use calling to manipulate folks from the outside. I'm hearing a few amens here. And how also people would get so convinced on the inside that something was supposed to happen, that God wanted it to happen, even if it might be pretty harmful in reality, and how often that turned out to be the case. So, related to this, a few years ago I heard the idea of locus of control. Has anyone else heard that term before? Okay, we got a few people. People usually talk about internal versus external locus of control. Internal is the idea that we mainly determine how our lives go with our individual choices and our actions and attitudes. A lot of internal stuff. External locus of control says that it's all about what happens to us, our circumstances, our surroundings, and the people around us, and that we probably have very little agency as individuals. A very wise nun, Sister Brown, once said to me, "It's not a calling until you say yes," which I thought was really interesting because that was one of the first times that I heard a church person add that internal locus part to it. That the internal side wasn't just about feelings of being called, but that there was a choice involved. There was some agency, and maybe it's a combination of both internal and external locus of control. I think it's really common to get into either or thinking in our lives, especially neurobiologists will talk about, especially when our brains are in survival mode, we really go into black and white thinking, really either or, quick, simple stuff. And many people spend a lot of time in survival mode, and it seems like it's extra challenging to get out of that these days. Anyone else having that experience lately? Yeah. But from what I can tell, a lot of situations are more both and than either or. I think a person's path isn't just due to internal choices or external events. From what I've seen, it's both. It's a conversation between a person and the world around us. The people and the ability to have that conversation, to let it be a dance, to let it be a give and take. I admire people who are good at that. Folks who don't believe that they have to save the world by themselves, but don't give up either. I like the idea of invitations, that the world and the people around us give 1,000 invitations every day. And depending on how aware, how free we are, we get to choose what we engage and what we pass by. We as individuals and groups, we get to do this dance with what is offered and what we've committed to and what we want. And there are some pretty amazing invitations in our lives to be present, to enjoy a moment. Invitations for our hearts to break sometimes, for us to speak or to rest in quiet. Invitations for us to care for others, to care for ourselves, for us to create and for us to receive what others have made and share. Kind of like it says in Ecclesiastes, maybe there's a time for everything. Maybe an invitation for everything. And maybe life is a lot less obligation and much more opportunity than we often realize. And I've found that when I recenter in that, when I remember the resources, the opportunities, and the strength of connections with good people around me, things go better. So we light this chalice today. Just sort out the candle here. We light this chalice, remembering the many invitations and opportunities that life gives us. We welcome the wisdom to engage sometimes and to let go at other times, and the process of figuring it out and living into those invitations together.
And now I invite you to rise or just stay lazy and turn around and say hello to your neighbor. Ask them how they're doing. Good morning, neighbor. Beautiful neighbor. Beautiful. Now I got to rewrite everything I said because I like that so much. Man. Conversation. So good. Yeah, so good. It all works. Yeah, it all works. Really good. A brief interruption. Mary Beth just gave me this nice fan, and she says there's more over there on the table if you want a fan, all right? So while you're up, go grab one. And now, I invite you to read with me the covenant, which is in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
First reading is by Kate Braystrip. She is a Unitarian Universalist chaplain for the Maine State Warden Service. And this excerpt comes from her memoir, Here If You Need Me. New acquaintances who discover I am a chaplain will generally explain a lack of interest in the church by announcing, I'm spiritual, but I'm not really religious. Trooper Drew Griffith was spiritual, which is to say he had experiences of the numinous that were both spontaneous and deliberately cultivated. He engaged in regular, deliberate practice within a chosen faith community in order to nurture his own spiritual development and to translate it into useful, loving social action. Drew was religious. I'm really religious, but I'm not really spiritual, I told my Christian doctrine professor. Even that probably put too fine a point on it. Mine, in reality, was a pretty plain and practical calling. I need to do something.
Show and tell. Kate Braystrip's book, Here If You Need Me, is the first ever page turner written by a minister. I recommend it. In about every other page, there's a detailed tragedy, accident, adventure in the wilderness. Human drama right down the line. Illustrious and engrossing. It starts when her husband, Drew Griffith, the state trooper, dies in a car accident. He was law enforcement, but not cut from the usual blue cloth. He had just enrolled in divinity school and was headed for UUYO ministry. He had the spiritual through his religious practice. He found the numinous, the luminous numinous, the divine presence in our midst. And then bam, crash, he died. His widow, Kate, is left bereft. She looks around her, and I know, as many of you have done in similar circumstances, she says to herself, I have to do something. So she took up the call that was originally meant for her husband. As you see, Dirk and I toss around this calling idea with some real discomfort. And I will say this to you, guaranteed, if you're up on a mountaintop and you witness the sunrise or the sunset, 4 out of 5 of you will come back with a calling, all right? And 4.5 out of 5 of you will forget that calling by the next day. And I'm here to tell you, you should feel good about that. As Bill Moyer said, some days you get a call, just don't answer the phone. You know, it's not right. But there's plenty of exceptions, and I want to talk a little bit about that today. Look at Martin Luther King. What if he had not taken up the call to redress racial discrimination? Think about Dorothy Day or Mother Teresa. They all got calls, they talk about it. Even Martin Luther, whether you like him or not, did quite a bit for the world on that call. And then beyond the greats, like M.L. King and the like, there are people doing the real stuff of life. I might even submit to you, we all get a call or an invitation. And maybe we're less bound up in the whole portent of the call idea. For instance, I'm thinking of a coworker of mine who came to us by way of another agency where she experienced severe harassment in the workplace. And it happened in front of her coworkers. It was terrible. And this is a whole doe-eyed character with long lashes and sweet disposition, pictures of little fuzzy bunnies on her walls with little inspirational quotes underneath, you know the sort. You're looking at her, you think, this girl cannot hurt a flea, right? But no, she sued, and she won. And she took names, she took numbers, the whole 9 yards. But this is what I really like. Once she won, and once she got a settlement, she took those earnings and she plowed them into a program to teach kids in school how to manage bullies. So every day after work, she runs off to her gym and she teaches these kids how to manage. Now that's a calling in a sense, right? And she's saving other people in the bargain. That's what I like to see right here in this congregation. I think you look at Hope with Ohio Can and the work she does to support people caught in the web of chemical dependency. Our own Ellen Sautry devoted her life to helping people. Louisa Berger, helping people gain the knowledge they need. And so many of you, educators, engineers, inventors, gardeners, whatever it is, there's nobility to it, and you can't take that away. Perhaps the most famous call comes by way of Elijah, who I would never let my daughter date. He fought with everybody, and he insulted. I mean, even the widow who helped him, he insulted her. And he's driven out of town, and his life is under threat. So yes, he goes to that mountaintop, but no sylvan sunrise or sunset. Tempest, earthquake, fire. He's all wound up. And finally, it all dissipates, and there's that still, small voice. And that was the call. Just as we sang in that opening hymn, find a stillness, hold a stillness, let that stillness carry you. Maybe that's the center of your invitation.
Each month, we share our non-pledged collection with an organization that is involved in making our community and UUYO a better place. Today we welcome, is Leandra, was she able to make it to be with us today? Okay, I guess she was not able to be here, but what is the name of the organization that, is that on our bulletin? Yeah. Okay, so this is, the offering today is for the Greater Mahoning Valley LGBTQ+ Community Needs Assessment. So that is, that's reaching out to LGBTQ+ folks in the Valley, finding out what people need and helping people connect with resources. Obviously, it's a pretty crazy time right now, and there's a lot of need, and it is such an important thing to invest in those networks of care. So the extra July offerings will be dedicated to that organization. I invite the greeters to come forward, and we will now receive the offering that sustains the life of this church and its work in the world. Also, a heads up, if you are visiting us for the first or second time, we invite you to let the plate pass. You are a guest here, and you honor us with your presence. second reading is from The Serviceberry by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Robin Wall Kimmerer is a professor of biology at the State University of New York. She is also a member of the Potawatomi Nation. She combines her indigenous worldview with her knowledge of natural phenomena in several books, including today's passage from The Serviceberry. She's brilliant, and I encourage you to read her work. It's from The Serviceberry. We accompanied anthropologist Lewis Hyde to a hunter-gatherer community in the Brazilian rainforest. He observes that a hunter had brought home a sizable kill, far too much to be eaten by his family. The researcher asked how he would store the excess. Smoking and drying technologies were well known. Storing was possible. The hunter was puzzled by the question. Store the meat? Why would he do that? Instead, he sent out an invitation to a feast. And soon the neighboring families were gathered around his fire until every last morsel was consumed. This seemed like maladaptive behavior to the anthropologist, who asked again, given the uncertainty of meat in the forest, why didn't the hunter store the meat for himself, which is what the economic system of his home culture would predict? Store my meat? I store my meat in the belly of my brother, replied the hunter.
Here we go with a little commercial interruption. The church hosted a wonderful little gathering where we read this book, little slim volume, together. She does an outstanding job of illustrating the many ways a culture of reciprocity enriches us all. I recommend it. And of course, Dirk's reading just now, I saw by your responses, the hunter's riches are stored in the belly of his brother. Gave me the big aha, yeah. After all, what is ministry if not nourishing others and in turn enabling others to nourish more and more and more? I like that. Times are tense. There's no quibbling over that fact. Our rights are getting rolled back. State and federal budget cuts are horrifying. And if you turn on the TV, which half of you I know do not, but if you do, you will see the slaughter of innocents with horror. And we worry about a future where only more calamity comes flying at us. I know we do. And if you're anything like me, you're sitting around the kitchen table and you're saying, phone's ringing. Phone's ringing. You're sitting around the kitchen table and you're saying, should I be storing up canned food in the basement? Should I be getting off the grid? Should I be raising chickens? Growing more of my own food, all of those kinds of things. And all of that is good. But it's also important to note that down through history, the way we have gotten through these times successfully is by helping each other out. And that's still probably going to work again. So be nice to your neighbor at coffee hour. Don't hog the best scones. Those are really good scones. I stole one myself. Years ago, I read a piece in Archaeology Today about an excavation in a little settlement in ancient Egypt along the Nile, not far from the pyramids. There they found evidence of a small beekeeping community, replete with hives and tools of the trade, much like the ones we use today. But the big discovery there was evidence of ritual practices and relics and signs that beekeeping served as its own sort of priesthood in the community. The Freemason movement was much like that. An ancient guild of stone cutters. Similarly, the midwives down through history had their own rituals and their own practices. In my early days, when I left home for good, I lived in a big old house in Boston with all kinds of characters. We split up the housework, and somebody spawned the idea of creating a parliamentary system under our roof. And so we had a minister of vacuum, the kitchen queen, the cleaning czar, and so on. And then roles could get reversed. And it was interesting because it taught you how to be domestic in a more fun way, but in a deeper way too. Once you call yourself the minister, you got to take on a little more. And I think that's what those ancient vocations recognized. So if we are called to ministry, maybe it's not the pulpit and preaching. Maybe there's a place for you as a minister somewhere. Beekeeping, bookkeeping, surfing, swearing, teaching, dancing in swirls. A minister is, by definition, a servant. There's no better way to smooth the way, spread the love, show your stuff, than finding a way to serve one another. And now I invite you to take up hymn number 298, Rise in Body or Spirit, Wake Now My Senses.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Deep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end.
And now for something really different. I would like to invite you to come forward as you wish and share a joy, a concern, a sorrow, a hope. And we invite you to light one of the candles here and stick it in the sand and share your heart with us. Go ahead and form a line at the back and step forward whenever you feel comfortable.
I will share a joy. Today is Clover's 19th birthday. They did not bless us with their presents. They went hiking at Nelson Ledges. And keep Clover in your hearts. In the next couple weeks, they're going to be having their top surgery, and then they'll be leaving us for college. But they're having a wonderful summer.
All right, I will intercede. It is Tom and Cynthia Schmotzer's anniversary today. I light a candle of joy for you.
My name's Jean, and I never have a problem getting up in front of people and talking, but I do have a problem sometimes confessing. So this is a confession. I am a food addict, and it's as serious as being an alcoholic or a drug addict or a nicotine. Not everybody understands food addiction, but I have come to learn about it through a program called FAA, Food Addicts Anonymous. Almost 3 years of being free of sugar, flour, and wheat. Last December, I went into a relapse, and it started with the Sunday that I was here and bought a pound of cookies. $10 it cost me that went towards the church, and I didn't know what I was going to do with them, but I couldn't turn them down. I turned down that table every week for almost 3 years. I'm shaking. I ate a pound of cookies on the way home, and my house is only 15 minutes away. I had several slips. I have a sponsor. I have a step group. I had a major relapse 2 weeks ago. Because I'm off sugar, flour, and wheat, I don't have a fourth cancer. I had 3. I reversed my diabetes. I no longer have high blood pressure, or I'm shaking because this is really difficult for me to share. I am very healthy, but if I eat sugar, flour, and wheat, I will go back to being diabetic, high blood pressure, possibly a fourth cancer. So today I've had 14 days of being abstinent from sugar, flour, and wheat, and I hope to continue that. I am really shaking. My whole body's shaking. I could cry. You know, I don't know how to work these. I'm a match person. Yeah, okay. My cousin Galen, who I don't know if he's here today, he gave me one of these because I used to have to light. We got some fire right here for you. Yeah, I used to have to light my furnace, and I had to do it with matches because I couldn't get that dumb thing to work. So, anyways, here we go. What else? See, I'm shaking. We'll help you. Thanks. Thanks, Sarah.
Yay, Jean.
Very emotional. That was thank you for sharing that. That brought like a lot of emotion to my body that I obviously needed to release. I'm Kelly. I'm new. This is my first time here. Really, I was so nervous coming in, but I feel so like, I don't know, homey. But I'm going through like major changes in my life right now, and I heard about this place like 2 months ago maybe, and I've been wanting to come, and I just made a really big decision this week, and I just felt like it's the right time to come, and now being here, I realize that it's the perfect time to come. So thank you.
Jack, you've been waiting. Are you waiting, Jack?
Good morning, everyone. My joy is very simple. I'm just happy to be here with each and every one of you today. So thank you.
All right.
Hi, I'm Susan. And this, thank you both so much for having this moment. And very, very powerful. Thank you, everybody who has gotten up here. I want to share a joy similarly of just being here. My family and I have been coming here since about November, so we're still fairly new. Inspired by my dad, who is a Unitarian for 40 some odd years and who passed away in October. I had gone to church with him several times and was always just really, really inspired and moved by the community, as was I when we had his service in October. And when I came back here, my husband Joshua and I both looked at each other and were like, let's find the Unitarian church and check it out here. And wow, this community is so amazing. And I just feel so grateful and thankful. And I feel closer to my dad, who I miss horribly. So thank you all so much. Thank you.
Well, very simply, this is my joy right here. And he wants to light a candle, so.
Hello, I'm Tabitha. I don't come every week. My husband is the security Gene. I was raised Catholic, and I don't attend church anywhere else, but I want to say that I do enjoy coming when I do come. I have a lot of health issues, so that prevents me from coming every week. My joy are my family. My son, he's upstairs right now. I am going to be going to Alabama in 2 days to see my sister and my niece, so I'm excited about that. But thank you.
And I want to thank you all for stepping forward, and for all of you who are sitting with sorrow, with joy, with struggles that are your own. I want to give us a moment of silence. Thank you.
How about a candle for all of those unspoken?
On that note, candle for all of you.
For all of the unspoken joys and sorrows.
Thanks, Dirk. Beautiful.
Our third reading for the day is from a book called Cranky Beautiful Faith by Nadia Bolz-Weber. Once a seminary student asked, she writes in her book, once a seminary student asked to shadow me for 2 days to see what my life as a pastor was like. At the end, he said, "Oh my gosh, you're basically a person for a living." I get to be a person for a living, a person who every morning thinks about her quirky little church and prays, "Oh God, it's so beautiful. Help me not F it up."
Should we switch out the Lord's Prayer for this one? Oh, God is so beautiful, help me not F it up. I think that really sums it all up right there. What is lovely about being UU is that there's no pressure to be a better person. And let's face it, perfect people can be very tiresome anyhow. And we are all walking around with our frontal lobe loving our neighbor and our amygdala wanting to shoot our neighbor. That's what being human is all about. And it's no wonder it's so difficult being comfortable in your own skin, right? So let's aim at just being better at being a person. That is our sacred task. It's the task that Gary Davenport was talking about last week here in the congregation when we discussed the Healthy Congregation Initiative. For so many centuries, we have turned to priests, preachers, reverends, and rabbis for wisdom and understanding. Then we get angry at them when they don't really have it any more than you or me. What's with that? It is their job just to be a person. And have you ever noticed it's nice to be around someone who's good at being a person because you can breathe a little better? It might just be that the best thing we can do is not do, just be. Be there for one another, no words needed. Silence may be better. The most elegant of presence is your presence. Amen. Now let us pray in the spirit of Reverend Nadia Bolsweber with a UU spin. Oh, Great Spirit, help us to see all the beauty that surrounds us each day. Help us to help each other. And please, Great Spirit, don't let us F it up. Amen. And now please turn to hymn number 6. The great hymn.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we gather again.
And as you go out into the world, into the Sunday heat, please remember the one great fact. You are loved and never truly alone.